Hey, what is up guys? My name is Colin. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Shadow Rockabilly Pro pickup and preamp system. This thing is like using cheat codes. So stay tuned to the end of the video to see my setup and let's talk about how this thing works. So first up, the Rockabilly Pro is a pickup and preamp system. It works with a wing pickup here and a fingerboard pickup here. Before we get into any of the settings on the preamp, we need to talk about putting the pickups on it because that's probably the most important place to start. This is not going to sound very good unless you get the pickup placement just right and get the tension on your wing pickup just right as well. So first off, the slap transducer pickup, which is right here behind my fingerboard, it needs to be about 2 to 4 inches down from where the fingerboard is free hanging from the base here. And you need to experiment with where to put it so that you can figure out what sounds best on your bass. So try it out. Next up, and probably the most important, is the wing pickup down here. So it needs to have just the right amount of tension on it. And that's really easy if you have a bridge like mine, which has a set screw where you can just put an Allen key in there and tighten it until it's perfect. If you don't have a bridge that has a set screw in the wing slot, you're going to need to get some sandpaper and go very slowly. And you want it to be super snug in there, but not so snug that you can't wiggle it a little bit. Don't crush it, but get it really tight in there, and it should be sounding pretty good for you. So what happens if you take too much material out of the bridge before you fit your pickup and you can't get it snug in there? Well, in the manual for this thing, they suggest using a saxophone reed as a shim. You can use just about anything as a shim. I've even used a piece of a cereal box as a shim before in a pinch. But try to get something solid like a piece of wood. Saxophone reed sounds like it would work great, although I have never tried it. So first off, let's talk about some of the simple controls on here that you should know what they do. This side here is volume for your tone. This side here, volume for your slap. Simple enough. Next up, let's go through the settings here for your tone side. You have bass, mid, and presence. Bass is self-explanatory. Mid, same thing. Presence is a little trickier. A lot of people don't know what that means. So presence frequencies are between 4 and 6 kilohertz. And those are the frequencies that make your bass sound bright and give you a lot of cut in the mix. So it could be really beneficial to dial in some of that. Try it out for yourself. Next up on the slap side, we have a low cut and then a treble. So low cut is going to take out any of the lower frequencies in your slap channel. And then treble is going to boost the treble. Pretty self-explanatory. Why would you use these? So if you want a really ticky kind of psychobilly slap sound, you would probably want to roll off a bunch of this bass frequency and boost up your treble to get it really clicky. But let's say you're playing in a rockabilly band and you want a more natural sounding slap tone. Then you would want to keep in some of those low frequencies to get it that woody sound that is present on a lot of old rockabilly recordings. Now I want to talk about some of the cheat codes on this thing, and they are pretty incredible. So first up, let's talk about the Subsonic Filter. So this thing will take out anything below 30 hertz, I believe, and that's pretty much sound that you get from walking around with the bass or any low-end rumble. I don't really like any of that stuff, so my Subsonic Filter is always on. Let's talk about one of the other cheat codes on this thing, and it is the pre-shape. So basically right out of the box with all your settings flat, you should be able to hit pre-shape and get a really good sound. So it boosts the bass frequencies and the treble, and I think it cuts some of the mids. It's not super clear on that in the manual, which I will link below. But from my experience, that's what it does, and it's awesome. Super cheat code. Up here we have another cheat code, that's the phase switch. So this thing will basically get rid of feedback for you. If you use the phase switch and the Subsonic Filter and the pre-shape together, like I do, it sounds awesome. Sometimes you need to have your phase in or out, depending on where you're getting feedback. Different venues might need it on, different venues might need it off. Try it out. If you're getting feedback, just click it, see what happens. Now another super awesome button on this thing It's the 4 kilohertz versus 8 kilohertz button. And this is where it's going to be centering the frequency for your slap tone. So 8K is what I like. It's what I tell sound guys to turn up in my monitor and the house. It's that ticky-ticky kind of slap sound that I really like. The 4 kilohertz is more woody. So again, more classic rockabilly sound. Try out both settings, see what works for you. Last but not least, there is a tuner on this thing. It tunes. So let's talk about finding your tone with this thing. Ideally, you want to set this so that it sounds amazing, so that all the adjustments that you have to do on your amplifier are super minor and will just be stuff that you need to change from venue to venue, stage to stage, practice room to practice room, whatever you're doing with it. So you really want to take the time to try out all the different settings on this thing. Again, I said I will show you my settings in a little bit, but first off, let's take a look at how this thing sounds just flat. And then I'll show you what it sounds like flat with all the cheat codes punched in. And then I'll show you what it sounds like with my settings. And you can see for yourself which one you think sounds best. This is all a matter of taste. What works on my bass might not work on your bass. My bass sounds different than your bass. All basses sound different. But I want to try and give you guys a little head start in figuring this out. So let's have a listen to some of the different settings. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for all kinds of updates and videos that I have coming up. If you have any other questions, comments, or things you would like to see, hit me up in the comments below. Once again, my name is Colin, and happy slapping.